Good evening, citizens of Fremont County. I am Linda Barton, Chair of the League of Women Voters of Fremont County. The League is pleased to host candidate forums during the 2020 election season. The League of Women Voters of Fremont County, Wyoming, is a nonpartisan grassroots organization and part of the State and National League of Women Voters. We believe voters should play a critical role in democracy. The League encourages informed and active participation in government. The League is dedicated to voter education, voter rights, and to providing information that helps voters make informed decisions at the polls. The League of Women Voters of Fremont County was founded in the winter of 2020 by a group of local citizens who wanted to promote our free and open election process. Over 90 community members participated in town hall meetings and answered a survey to determine how the League should promote elections across Fremont County. League members submitted the questions being asked tonight at this forum. The League does not support or endorse any candidate running for office. We make available the information that is provided to us by the candidates and share information with the public. We inform the citizens of Fremont County on the many ways to register to vote and how to request an absentee ballot. Please visit our Facebook page, Fremont County League of Women Voters, for information about our local elections, the General Election Voter Guide, and candidate forums. The League also strongly supports the 2020 census. The census determines how much federal funding Fremont County will receive for roads, schools, housing, and social programs over the next 10 years. We encourage all Fremont County citizens to do their part in helping our communities receive their share of public funding by completing the short 2020 census questionnaire online at 2020census.gov, by phone at 844-330-2020, or by mail. Additionally, our Fremont County Public Libraries and librarians are ready to help you with your census. Please consider becoming a member of the League of Women Voters of Fremont County. Your membership will support local education, election education. To become a member, go to the League of Women Voters, fc.org/become a member, and to join our listserv, please contact us at info@leagueofwomenvotersfc.org. And finally, the League thanks Will Hill of County 10 and his dedicated staff for partnering with us to host and record this forum, along with the Wind River Internet for providing the video feed. Additionally, we want to thank Steve Peck of the Riverton Ranger and Lander Journal for printing the General Election Guide, Julie Cornea of Black Dog Design, and Ann Austin of Austin Design for their graphic design work. The Wyoming Community Foundation for financially supporting the printing and mailing of General Election Guide to all Fremont County households. And to our county clerk, Julie Fries, and the Fremont County Election Office staff for providing guidance and information over the past few months. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to the Wyoming House District 55 Candidate Forum. My name is Cameron Faring, and I will be the forum moderator this evening. Thank you to everyone joining us on the live stream, and thank you to our candidates for taking the time to help educate Fremont County voters about their choices in the election booth. House District 55 serves the Riverton area, and the candidates are Bethany Baldez, running as Libertarian, and Ember Oakley, running as Republican. Welcome to you both, and thank you again for being here. We will begin with a 2-minute prepared opening statement by each candidate. Then we will follow with questions, allowing for 2 minutes, a 2-minute response by each candidate. We will alternate question leads. Candidates will be given a 10-second warning before their time ends, and we ask each candidate to respect the time limit. We will move to the next section of the forum at 7:45 p.m. The final round is a one-word lightning round. Each candidate will be given one word and 1 minute to respond to that word. The next candidate will be given a different word and will have 1 minute to respond. Each candidate will be given a total of 3 words. The idea with the round is to hear what associations each candidate makes when given a simple prompt. Finally, each candidate will present a prepared closing statement of 2 minutes each. The first opening statement will be determined by a coin toss, which we prepared earlier. Ms. Oakley, would you care to begin?
Thank you. Hello, Riverton. I'm Ember Oakley, your Republican nominee for House District 55. I could not be more proud to stand here as the Republican candidate heading into the general election. I am proud to call Riverton home and the 3rd generation to call Fremont County home. I graduated from Texas A&M with a degree in ag business, then returned to Wyoming and graduated from the University of Wyoming Law School. I am the Assistant Fremont County Attorney, and I currently serve on the Wyoming Community College Commission. I am the Republican nominee for a reason. I'm a lifelong Republican, actively involved for over a decade in Fremont County, and I believe that our platforms and guiding principles will lead our state and our country in the direction that it should be. The Republican platforms call for 1, standing behind family values and a good place to call home. As a prosecutor, I have prosecuted murders, rapes, violent crimes, and dangerous drugs. I've had 2 convictions for sexual assault in the last 3 months, and I've recently had 2 cases affirmed by the Supreme Court. Whereas the Libertarian platform calls for the legalization of all drugs, I do not agree with that. 2, supporting our law enforcement. I think that law enforcement may be the most demanding, underpaid, and underappreciated careers that a person could do. And now they're being targeted as if they are the criminals. It is wrong. I support the law enforcement, and the Libertarian Party, though, however, supports weakening and in some cases defunding law enforcement. I cannot abide by that. 3, strong defense of our country. The Republican supports our military. 4, I am pro-life, and I will vote for the sanctity of life. I knew I wouldn't be able to get through the important Republican platforms in such a short time, so I'll leave it there, and I'll return to this at the end of the forum. Thank you.
Ms. Valdez.
Thank you to the League, to County 10, and thank you, Riverton, for hosting. I appreciate this event tonight being hosted. Thank you to those who are watching. My name is Bethany Baldus, and I am running to represent my hometown of Riverton in Cheyenne. My family has been in Riverton for generations, and I'm a 6th generation Wyomingite. My mother is a retired teacher, and my father is a retired long-haul trucker, and I'm proud of the value of hard work they instilled in me. I graduated from Riverton High School, and before graduating, I joined the Wyoming National Guard to serve our country and our state. While serving, I was honored as a sharpshooter and learned a deep sense of duty to give back to the city, state, and country that has given us all so much. After serving my country, I took time to raise my family while my husband, Jared, worked in the oil fields. My children and my family bring me the deepest joy, and without them, I would not have the strength I have to take on a challenge as big as this. Though Jared's career in the oil field industry, our family understands firsthand what it is to live through the boom and bust cycles. I am running to offer solutions and represent all Riverton residents. I'm not here to carry the water for special interest groups or political parties. I am here to give a voice to the average Wyoming citizen, to bring stakeholders together to find the best solutions, because I am smart enough to know I don't have to have all the answers. I am committed to running a positive campaign based on personal principles that are consistent and unchanged, a campaign of ideas and solutions. The stakes are too high to make this about anything other than the real challenges average Wyoming families face every day. You can trust that I will always represent Riverton residents, and I will be accessible to each of you as we work to make Wyoming more free and prosperous.
Thank you so much. First question. If elected, what will be your goals in the first legislative session? And what will your mileposts be to measure success? Ms. Valdez.
The State House of Representatives is a hard seat to hold. Really, we should all only expect 2 years. That we will both have the potential of running again in 2 years, and it's a fast 2 years. The first session is our general session, so it's a fast start, and you have to jump in and be ready. The second session is the budget session, where they sit down and make sure that our budget is ready for the next 2 years. Some of my top priorities for Wyoming at this point are food freedom and making sure that we're providing an opportunity for our farmers and local food producers to get food to the tables of citizens and not be so dependent on the national supply chain that we've all seen is so fragile. I also will be supporting any gun legislation that is brought forth that supports the Second Amendment, and I'm excited to work with the Republican Party and be able to bring liberty to our state.
Thank you so much. Ms. Oakley, same question.
Thank you. I think there is one major answer because there's one issue that is the single biggest issue facing Wyoming in the next year or two, and that is the budget. Wyoming is facing one of the largest budget crises that even Wyoming with a boom and bust economy has faced. There are cuts that are currently underway. They will affect people's jobs, the economy, and needed services for the people of Wyoming. As a Republican, I do not favor the increase of taxes, and I certainly do not support an income tax. But it must be looked at that 1/3 of our revenue dried up in 2020. Even after making $250 million in cuts, we still have a $500 million deficit just for this year. I believe in fiscal responsibility and looking at all the cuts that can be made. I think Wyoming people expect that. They expect that first. That is currently underway, and it will be one of the most difficult but necessary undertakings of a legislator. But make no mistake, there is a lot of work that needs to be done. The equation has to be solved. We have a balanced budget amendment, and we cannot operate in a deficit. I will look at every dollar. If we do not provide solutions that makes the budget balance, then it's going to come from our savings. Now, make no mistake, we're going to have to get into the rainy day fund and use some of our savings. But in the current situation, even with the 20% cuts, we will drain our savings in 2 years. So as far as a milepost, I don't think that there is a specific one. I think this will be daily, difficult, arduous work that will have to be done with an eye towards the absolute best solutions for Wyoming people and for all of Wyoming.
Thank you so much. Question 2, education. In 1995, the landmark education case, the Wyoming Supreme Court decided that the state's schools funding system, which had resulted in long-time funding disparities among school districts, failed to satisfy the state's obligation to provide equal education. The court also articulated what a constitutionally compliant education must include. Over the past 5 years, lawmakers have cut public school budgets by more than $100 million. Currently, the legislature has identified close to $400 million in deficit in the school foundation and capital construction funds. 4 weeks ago, the governor asked school districts to cut 10 to 15% from their budget. Without raising taxes, how will you ensure that our public schools are funded to the level that is required by the Wyoming Constitution and meets the needs of our students? Ms. Oakley.
Thank you. Certainly, the K through 12 budget will have to be analyzed and looked at. I think it is important to recognize that every state agency, every single state dollar is going to be looked at and analyzed in the years to come. And certainly K through 12 is not exempt from that. Again, I hear repeatedly that the Wyoming people are going to demand that. I think it's great what we're looking at right now, as you just mentioned, with the 10% cuts. The state is working with the different school districts to do voluntary 10% cuts so that the very first round can be taken, at the local level, where they can say, these are where we can find our own efficiencies. But I do think that there is a way to make cuts to K through 12 education without affecting our teachers' salaries and the quality of education in the classroom. Again, that's going to be the challenge that we undertake as we go through this budget crisis. I think that there is opportunity and challenge. I think we will find the efficiencies and look at our K through 12 budget. Thank you.
Ms. Valdez.
For the last 2 years, I've spent as much time as I humanly possibly could in Cheyenne during session. And there's a common phrase that is used as legislators walk through the halls of our capital. They call it kick the can. This isn't a new issue. This doesn't have to do with this year. All this year has proved to us is that we have to do something. I have 2 students in K-12. I have 1 student who will be getting into K-12 next year. This isn't about political conversations. These are real life children that have to have education, and it is important. Without that, our community colleges dry up and UW no longer has students. It is important for us to take this opportunity to innovate. We can no longer kick the can in Cheyenne. We have to pick up the pieces and put the puzzle together. We need to maximize student success while also maximizing teacher income. We don't have to do this with income tax or any other tax. We have to go through and rebuild. We have to let parents have choice in education. The last 2 years, we've been in the public school education system and have had choice and are doing online school even before it was popular. We have to look at this through different, fresh eyes that the establishment politicians have not been able to do yet.
Thank you. Community college education. At CWC, 67% of the 4-credit students are part-time employed. 38% are seeking short-term certificates, and 40% are between the ages of 25 and 64. At CWC, over 80% of students are considered at-risk students who are either eligible for Pell Grants, first-generation college students, and/or are college unprepared. What actions will you take to support and ensure Wyoming's community colleges, and in particular, Central Wyoming Community College, thrive? Ms. Valdez.
Thank you. I was one of those non-traditional students. I don't have a line of degrees to show off. I have an associate's of science or associate's in psychology. I was able to achieve that degree because of the commitment that CWC has to this community. There are some huge cuts hitting our community colleges right now, as we all know, and it's terrifying. They're kind of the EMTs of the economy. When we don't have jobs, we're able to go down the street and educate ourselves for our next step in life. CWC itself has started some new programs that I'm highly supportive with their Meat Science program and the brand new Bachelor of Applied Science degree. This gives people the opportunity to get a 4-year degree in our hometown while working jobs. It's of an utmost importance to making sure that our K-12 is turning out students that are ready to go into these schools, and we must protect them. But it's just the same. We have to make sure that we can afford them in fiscally responsible ways.
Thank you. Ms. Oakley?
I apologize for this. Will you just repeat the question?
Of course. At CWC, 67% of 4-credit students are part-time employed, 38% are seeking short-term certificates, and 40% are between the ages of 25 and 64. At CWC, over 80% of students are considered at-risk students who are either eligible for Pell Grants, first-generation college students, and/or are college underprepared. What action will you take to support and ensure Wyoming's community colleges, and in particular, allow Central Wyoming Community College to thrive?
Thank you. As I said earlier, of course, I serve on the Wyoming Community College Commission, and so I have been interacting with CWC as well as all of the community colleges for the past couple of years. They truly are tremendous. So I'll give a shout out here to CWC and to President Tyndall. He's truly fantastic. And I do think the community colleges are poised and in the best position to create jobs for our local community. They also provide cultural hubs, activities. They really are something that's important for our communities. And there's 7 different community colleges. And this is a really important question, because what the community colleges do that is fantastic is they're more responsive to what needs there are from the community. So they're quicker to find like career and technical education opportunities, which is exactly what people need. So they have, as Ms. Valdez said, there has been the Meat Science Lab, which is a really interesting current developing market. They have Farrier School. They've done really great job with their cosmetology. And I was a part of passing the legislation for the Bachelor of Applied Science. All of these things really highlight what a community college function is, because it is not necessarily your traditional student, but it is so important and serves such a great function for our community. So proud to have it here in Riverton, and I certainly support CWC and the community college system.
Thank you. Regarding the economy, the Wyoming Constitution requires a balanced budget. In the face of a widely predicted budget shortfall, what specific measures on both the revenue and expense side would you prioritize to balance the budget? Ms. Oakley.
This is my question. I'm gonna maybe sound a bit redundant here. I apologize for that. Because again, talking about the budget crisis, I do believe is the single most important issue facing Wyoming. As you just said, there is a balanced budget amendment. And that means that we do not get to operate in a deficit. I need to find something. So we have to be critical and honest about where the cuts are made, who it's affecting, and the consequences of those cuts. So to sit here as far as naming specific cuts, the reality is literally every dollar spent in every agency is doing cuts and is facing cuts. But I do agree, we need to take an honest look at all the proposals made, including to revenue streams. We have to be willing to look at all pieces of the puzzle. There are many ideas and proposals being made. One example is the elimination of the sales tax exemptions. Currently, we've had the luxury that the oil and gas industries pay for those. We may have to look at paying our own sales tax on our groceries. That's one example, but we're going to have to look at those propositions. Because again, if we do not provide the solutions that make the budget balance, we will drain all our savings in 2 years, and we will be here anyway, and that is not fiscal responsibility. So again, I'll take a real and honest look at the budget and all the pieces in order to solve the problems in the absolute best way we can for Wyoming and her people.
Thank you so much.
Cameron, can you please repeat the question?
Absolutely. The Wyoming Constitution requires a balanced budget. In the face of a widely predicted budget shortfall, what specific measures on both the revenue and expense side would you prioritize to balance the budget?
Wyoming has piggybacked off of the oil and gas and coal industry for generations. And truthfully, that's why we find ourselves in the position that we are. We need to make sure that we're addressing all of the budgetary issues, but also we have to work towards finding innovation and diversifying our economy. One of the best ways we can do this is with uranium and nuclear energy. It's the cleanest, most efficient fuel out there, and it can start providing to offset some of the lost revenue. But we also have to look at other ways. We have to look at our logging industry and what the federal government has done and our PILT lands. The federal government owns 48% of Wyoming. Of that land, they make money off of it and only give Wyoming back a small amount. We have to make sure that we're fighting the federal government to get all of our money back in our pockets that they make off of our lands.
Thank you so much. Qualifications. Part of the job of an elected official is to represent a wide variety of constituents and to work with people who have differing opinions. Please give us an example of how you build consensus among people with different opinions to solve a community problem. Ms. Valdez.
In 2017, I started a Facebook page called Local Ladies. This began because I was walking down Main Street and Safeway had just closed. Everybody was kind of gloomy, and I kept thinking to myself, somebody needs to do something. So I started a Facebook page. From this Facebook page, I went and highlighted local businesses and was able to get quite a following. This was just the beginning of what I was able to do over the next few months, in next couple years in Wyoming, or in Riverton. I serve on several different committees, and I'm always ready to say yes. I'm a little bit I've tried to be as part of everything that I possibly could. I also got the opportunity to go to Cheyenne and work on a piece of legislation in 2020 where I got to feel what it was to have a bill die on the floor. It's a phenomenal feeling, and it's one that I feel like we all have to prepare ourselves for if we're gonna go do the job in Cheyenne.
Thank you so much. Ms. Oakley.
Thank you. I think that is very important. Of course, that is a huge part of what legislating is getting together with all the different representatives from around the state and, again, fully and sharing information and thoughts and ideas. Specifically, consensus is built upon common ground. I think that's key, and how you get there is sharing all the information that you have as well as your opinions. That doesn't mean that you're going to agree on everything. Certainly not. I guess then it goes to a vote. But in order to be effective as a legislator, absolutely reaching across, whether it's across the aisle or reaching out to other people, being willing to share, and also, here's something novel, right? Being willing to listen so that we can gain as much perspective and information as we can in order to find that common ground. One way that I do this, at least somewhat on a regular basis, is I do jury trials. So 12 people who may not know each other, probably don't, come together, and I present information to them and share with them all the information that I have and that I can, and try to persuade them that indeed my perspective is correct. And then, of course, they have to do the consensus building. But and my standard there is, of course, that I have to have a unanimous. So that's something I'm used to understanding, that you might have a diverse audience, but you better find a way to connect with everybody.
Thank you so much. Regarding the death penalty, Wyoming has not executed a prisoner since 1992 and currently has no prisoners on death row. However, Wyoming does allow the use of the death penalty. What is your position about the existence of the death penalty in Wyoming? Ms. Oakley.
Thank you. I support the continuation of the death penalty being on the books, if you will, and to be used, if necessary, for Wyoming criminal law. I can tell you from having firsthand experience that this may be one of my most important factors behind that position, and that is that it absolutely can be used as a tool. I had somebody say I was bloodthirsty for that, but so let me explain. We have had a case, for example, where a man committed a murder, confessed to murder, but he will get a defense attorney that, without any other consideration, not only the trial, it triggers the appeals. So I believe it's a very important tool. I hear a lot about the costs, and I guess my response to that is we have had one on death row in the last 30 years, I think. We need to then find the solution for reducing that cost. I don't see any reason that housing that one person should be astronomically higher than another. Specifically, that person had federal appeals. I don't think that was a cost to the state government. So again, I think we need to keep the death penalty. I think there's the appropriate cases that it should be used. And I think that, again, to maintain it, we look at reducing costs and keeping a prisoner on death row. We don't eliminate the penalty.
Thank you. Ms. Valdez?
I am pro-life. Natural birth to natural death. End of story.
Thank you so much. Healthcare. Do you support Medicaid expansion? Why or why not? What is your solution to provide better health care for all Wyoming citizens? Ms. Valdez.
Thank you, Cameron. It is hard for any politician to stand up in any of these forums and promise something as big as Medicaid expansion. Right now, what Wyoming needs to look at is quicker solutions to our true problem with medical, and that is scarcity. Scarcity drives up costs. We experienced this in Riverton with the lack of access that we've gotten over the last few years. I serve on the Riverton Medical District Steering Committee and am committed to being able to find real solutions for Wyoming families to get health care in our state. I've also had my son life-flighted out of our state to Denver, and we've received a $130,000 bill. In a 1-minute decision, we bought a house. And now, no longer are Wyoming residents able to buy the protection to protect them from such life-altering moments. We need to work hard as a legislature to make sure that we're creating opportunities for doctors to practice across state borders and being able to import drugs across state lines.
Thank you so much. Ms. Oakley.
Thank you. Medicaid expansion, I think that this is a tough one. When you first hear that there's a program that the federal government will pay 90% of the costs and where the state would pay 10, it kind of seems like a no-brainer. And I've heard that, and that was my initial reaction. But I've discussed this with quite a few legislators, and of course the difficulty lies in the federal government. the strings that attach or may not attach if you sign up for such a program. If it expands and they only have contracted for a couple of years, so now you have the expanded program, but the state could be left holding a big bag. Or there's been like special education funding where they originally said it was going to be a match, but through magical federal math, that has changed, and now the state provides significantly more of that funding. But this is something, specifically Medicaid, is something that, if that changes, if we could work out something that works with the federal government and it seems to make sense, then I would certainly be willing to listen. And then I also wanted to touch on that. I agree with Mrs. Baldes. The Riverton Medical District has been just a fantastic example of providing and demanding and wanting good health care for our community. And I think what it's a great example of is that it does not have to be via the government. This dedicated group of intelligent volunteers has gotten together, done yeoman's work, and got a feasibility study done, and indeed it does appear that indeed that hospital could be a go. So I think that's a great start towards healthcare in Riverton.
Thank you so much.
Rebuttal. Thank you. It has been a great honor to be on that committee, and it is quite amazing to see what the people can do without raising taxes.
Okay. Conservation. Public lands are an important economic driver for the state of Wyoming, and Lander in particular. Public lands are also vital to the quality of life that many residents enjoy, and public lands are managed for various uses. In your vision of Wyoming, what is the role of public lands, and what are the challenges facing our public lands? Ms. Oakley.
Thank you. I agree with everything you said. The public lands are a great economic driver. They're vital to Wyoming. They're almost synonymous with our identity in Wyoming. I don't think there's anybody that lives in Wyoming that does not take advantage. And I fully support multiple use and public lands in public hands. I believe that we have a great system of state lands, and a lot of federal lands, and I believe that there is absolutely a place for everything on those, in full utilization of those lands. Anywhere from the energy industry and extraction to, of course, recreation. Again, I don't see that there isn't plenty for everyone in Wyoming to fully get to utilize and enjoy our public lands.
Thank you so much. Ms. Baldes.
Yes. Wyoming residents know how to enjoy their lands. And as a Riverton resident, we have often, over the years, enjoyed the Shoshone National Forest up above Du Bois. Every year when we go up there, I cry a lot of it, because our forest is dying, and it is out of the hands of our state to do anything about it. Not only do we not have an opportunity for an economic driver in this state with logging industry, but we have no control over our wildfire management or beetle kill. We have to fight to be able to manage our own lands. We also need to be, that's it, sorry.
Thank you so much. Number 9, equality. In 2018, the Wyoming Department of Workforce Services completed a study on the state's gender wage gap, House Bill 0209. This was done at the request of the Wyoming Joint Interim Labor, Health, and Social Services and the Minerals, Business, and Economic Development Committees. The report identified the existence of a wage gap in Wyoming, where a woman earns 71 cents to every dollar a man earns. Why do you think this exists, and what steps would you take, if any, to narrow this gap? Ms. Valdez.
I know the wage gap personally. When my children were young, my husband and I decided that it was the best decision for our family for me to stop working and continuing my career while he left the state and worked in the mineral industry. I don't think of the wage gap being on gender. I think it has more to do with the opportunities that Wyoming families are offered. We have to be innovative and come up with new job production, not as a government, but as a community, where people can stay home and have mom, dad, or whatever their family looks like together, and not sending them to other states to pay state income tax and boost their economies. I've now entered the workforce again after 9 years of absence. According to the studies, that means that my earning potential will never reach that of a man's. And we just have to be careful when we try to come up with government solutions to problems that are specifically to Wyoming and not necessarily the same of other places. I actually think that my opponent is a perfect example of the opportunities that women do have and that they can build an incredible career in our state.
Thank you so much. Ms. Oakley.
Thank you. I also think the gender wage gap is an interesting topic. I certainly acknowledge that it exists, and I think historically it was very significant. My mom's here in the room. You can't see her, but I'll use her as an example. She also got a degree in ag business from the University of Wyoming. And when she first applied to jobs, she went to the bank and, resume in hand, ready to be a loan officer. And what she was met with was, well, probably not that, little lady, but you could be the head teller. And I think that's important. I think it certainly has existed, but I also believe that we've made big strides. And I agree with, I'll point out to something that Mrs. Valdez said, which is you also have to look at factors such as when women choose to stay home and raise a family. That is fantastic. But you don't get to then go in, having 10 years experience. That's part of it. So again, I do approach it with caution. I think another thing specifically about Wyoming is that we have industries that have been typically man's work. But I think one of our good opportunities, and I have seen this, is actually encouraging and expanding our thoughts. There is no reason women can't drive like big trucks, do heavy equipment operation. And then when you start doing that, if you want to do that type of work, I think you'll see your paycheck go up. I will say that I do feel lucky for the women that have gone before me and paved the way, but with the path that I have chosen, personally, I am not paid less than my male counterpart in Wyoming.
Thank you so much. Energy. Wyoming produces about 40% of the coal used in the entire United States. Currently, coal production is declining. How can Wyoming's energy industry transition toward a more stable future? And what role should renewable energy play? Ms. Oakley.
Well, I would say that, of course, the energy industry is integral with Wyoming, has been, and will continue to be. I fully support our energy industries and our extractive industries and know and understand that they will continue to play a big role in our economy, both as far as jobs, as far as state government, and all of that. As far as what I think the government can do to stabilize those industries, my answer is I don't think that is something that could happen or would happen. So I guess I don't think anything. And then finally, you
Ms.
talk
Oakley,
about...
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but it is 7:45. We must begin the lightning rounds. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Cameron, I had a good answer.
I'm sorry.
This is my
I'm just
life.
following rules over here.
I thought I was getting the question wrong. I was like,
All right, according to the lightning round rules, you each will be given one word, a different word, and you will each have 1 minute to respond. We will begin with a coin toss that was determined earlier. Ms. Valdez, your first word is connectivity.
Connectivity. This will be my answer for the last one. One of the biggest things that we can do for the oil and extractive industry is invest back into it, not propping them up above other industries. When my husband works in other states, he has internet access and phone service. In Wyoming, we have not put any work into the infrastructure in our most rural areas, and it creates safety issues for our men that are out on sites.
Thank you so much. Ms. Oakley, your first word is transportation.
transportation. Boy, that's a broad one. It's an important one. Looking at just the half-cent tax just passed in Riverton and in Fremont County. And I think one of the driving factors behind that was because specifically the funds were earmarked for our air service and for our WRTA bus lines. Recognizing and understanding that transportation is absolutely key for everyone. Whether it's the WRTA takes people all over the county, it provides transportation for people that might not otherwise be able to access it at all. And then you look at the air service, maybe on the other side, without good, reliable air service, it's going to be a really difficult proposition for us to be a place to come to conduct business.
Thank you so much. Ms. Valdez, your second phrase is missing Indigenous women.
Oh, in 2019, I had the pleasure to help work with several women to create the first powwow in Wyoming, honoring the missing and murdered Indigenous women. This is an absolute atrocity that's happening right in our neighborhood, right in our neighborhoods, across the river and in town. We have to work as a community to make sure that we're protecting all that we can and stop our little girls from being statistics.
Thank you. Ms. Oakley, your second word is racism.
Racism. That's loaded. So, I think racism is something that is certainly coming to the forefront of our conversations, not only in our state, but certainly in our country. And I think one of the things that is absolutely important to do as we connect with each other, we have obviously racial diversity here in Fremont County. Looking at our tribal members, they have different perspectives. They have different cultural identities. And it's interesting. It's something fun and that we can engage in. But I think that's the point. If we stay connected, rather than being divisive, have the conversation, understand each other's perspectives. I think rather than assuming that it's because we are against each other or that there's something negative about each other's race, we need to reach across, bridge that divide, and celebrate our differences.
Thank you so much. Ms. Valdez, your third word is tourism.
Tourism. I view Riverton as the wagon wheel in the middle of Wyoming. A couple years ago for vacation, instead of leaving the state, my husband and I take day trips to all of the mountain ranges that surround us. Wyoming is not just Yellowstone. We have all kinds of different places to enjoy, and we need to be welcoming all of the citizens of the country to come enjoy our lands. I feel like the 0.5% tax that just passed is going to help in this effort with keeping our airport viable.
Ms. Oakley, your third phrase is economic development.
Economic development. That is a phrase that has been thrown around Wyoming for so long. We've been saying it. I think we're blue in the face. But It is absolutely important that we embrace this, and I think now is the time. Better than ever, we are poised to diversify our economy. Certainly, obviously, with the challenges of the budget, but also the time that we're in. People are getting tired of what's happening around the country, for example, and Wyoming is a great place to move. And we need to work on that. We need to market that. And people can come here for, I think it's called the gig economy. Jason Kinsler did a great article on it. So that's one of the ways. Also, even career and technical education. I talked about that earlier, something that CWC embraces. There are so many different ways and avenues and opportunities here in Wyoming, and we just absolutely need to embrace that.
Thank you so much. I would now like to invite you both to state your closing statements. We'll start with Ms. Oakley.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank County 10 and the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. And I'll resume. 5, fiscal responsibility. That includes being honest and fair about our current fiscal situation. Again, some of our savings will have to be used to be sure, but I will not rely on that and wait until our savings are gone to work towards a solution. Just saying that you'll innovate, I don't think is a strong enough plan for what we are going to have to do. I will not downplay the real economic situation that we're in, but instead I will work towards real solutions that are the best for Riverton and Wyoming people. 6th, Second Amendment. I am an ardent supporter of the Second Amendment. I understand its value from personal use to personal protection through its importance against tyrannical government. Growing up as a Marine and a game warden's daughter, I had a gun in my hand from the time I was so little I don't remember. I would not hesitate to use it for hunting or in defense of myself. I know that the good people of Riverton and Fremont County know this to be true. So again, I am Ember Oakley, and I am the Republican nominee. I stand here ready to serve the people of Riverton and the people of Wyoming. I think Republicans need to and do understand the importance of keeping Riverton red. I stand behind the Republican platform. Finally, we all know the lawyer jokes. I've heard most. You can share the rest of them with me after this. But truly, I am grateful to stand here as a graduate of the University of Wyoming Law School. And I will take my training and my experience to Cheyenne, and I will put it to work for you. Vote for Ember Oakley on November 3rd.
Thank you so much. Ms. Valdez.
If you analyze it, I believe the very heart and soul of conservatism is libertarianism. The basis of conservatism is a desire for less government interface or less centralized authority or more individual freedom, and this is a pretty general description also of what libertarianism is. Ronald Reagan. I am a bit of libertarian myself. Donald Trump. I am not a career politician, and I don't want to become one. I am your neighbor, a friend, and I have lived here and known our community my whole life. I decided to run because I see our state making some bad financial choices over and over again, and I see the impact that it has on our hardworking families in our state. I was raised to serve. I was raised to protect and defend our Constitution. I was raised to love and help Riverton. I'm never going to be a polished political face that the establishment throws at us, but I will represent the people of Riverton and fight for you to keep more of your money and for the folks to have better, more stable jobs so that young families can stay in our state. You can hold me accountable. I will be the most accountable representative in Wyoming, and I will never promote a policy that goes against our culture of Riverton. I am asking you to place faith in a regular Riverton resident, hold me accountable, and promise that I will never stop fighting for you. Vote for Bethany Baldus on November 3rd.
Thank you so much. We want to thank these two candidates for taking the time tonight to let Fremont County voters know more about them and their views on the important issues facing our communities. We thank you both for running for office and for serving our community. You are shining examples of what is wonderful about our democracy: civil debate that engages in real, thought-provoking conversation. Please stay tuned for additional forums hosted by the League of Women Voters of Fremont County. Currently scheduled forums include September 30th at 6:30 p.m. in Fremont County Commission District 5 and District 2, and October 1st, 2020 at 6:30 p.m., Fremont County School District Number 1. Go to the League of Women Voters on Fremont County, Go to the League of Women Voters of Fremont County website or the County 10's election page to find out more about these forums. Thank you to all of those who joined us live tonight. Have a wonderful evening, and remember to exercise your right to vote on November 3rd.